Good morning. I'm Michael Liu, the Director of Miami-Dade County's Public Housing and Community Development Department, and I'm extremely excited about today's event because we are making history. This is not just a groundbreaking. This is an event that really marks, I believe, a new chapter in the financing of affordable housing, not just in Miami-Dade, but in the country. Opportunity Zone, rental assistance demonstration, low-income housing tax credits, public housing transformation, largest project to date of its kind in the country. That is what we are here for today. And to open this new chapter of this new book, I introduce to you a man who I have had the honor and privilege to work for these past 6 years, our great mayor, Carlo A. Gimenez. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Michael, for that introduction, and good morning, everybody. It's an honor to have HUD Secretary Dr. Ben Carson back in Miami-Dade County. It's also great to see our great chairwoman, Audrey Edmondson, here. Both of them have joined us several times in recent months to celebrate great news on the local housing front. And today we share our most impressive collaboration to date. We're breaking ground on this site for 3 buildings that will be built all at once in the largest public housing development of its kind in the nation. The 383 units in this $106 million project will leverage the widest range of government funding available, including Opportunity Zone financing along with other federal and HUD resources, such as the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit, the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, and the Home Investment Partnerships Program. In addition, the county's Public Housing and Community Development Department is kicking in $18 million from its Purchase Money Mortgage Program. It would be an understatement to say that we're proud of this achievement here at the 3 Towers Brisas del Este site. And I was just telling the Secretary that I remember responding here to the 3 Towers site 40 years ago as a paramedic. And it needed renovation then. So I'm telling you, this is a long time coming. It would be an understatement to say that we're proud of this achievement. It's an outstanding example of intergovernmental partnership and coordination. It's also especially significant that this teamwork is happening right now in the middle of the pandemic, when our nation is having to confront so many new economic challenges. This project shows the great things that we can do by joining forces with local corporate leaders in our community, such as Related Urban Development Group. The county has worked before in public-private partnerships with Related Urban, and the results have always been impressive, not impressive, spectacular. A little over a year ago, we unveiled 73 new public housing units in the first phase of Liberty Square, and there's lots more to come for those residents. As we did there, residents won't have to relocate elsewhere in the county while their old units are being renovated. This resilient approach to upgrading old development keeps people connected to their community. I want to thank everyone who has made this possible, especially HUD Secretary Carson. Chairwoman Audrey Edmondson and our county commissioners have been true champions for public housing. And of course, the public-private partnership that has made it possible. Thanks to the chairman of the Related Group, George Perez, and Related Urban President Albert Milo, and their entire team, as well as Director Liu and his staff who helped move this project forward. Congratulations to all on a job well done. I'm now going to speak briefly in Spanish before turning things back over to Director Liu. Buenos días. Es un honor tener el secretario del HUD, el Dr. Ben Carson, aquí de nuevo en el condado de Miami-Dade. Hoy estamos inaugurando este proyecto de vivienda pública que es el más grande de su tipo en la nación. A un costo de $106 millones vamos a tener nuevas viviendas gracias en gran parte a recursos federales. Además, el Departamento de Viviendas Públicas y Desarrollo Comunitario del condado está usando 18 millones de su programa de hipoteca de dinero de compra. Estamos muy orgullosos de este logro que va a transformar a las viviendas en las 3 Round Towers y las Brisas del Este. Es especialmente significant que este trabajo en equipo se está haciendo en medio de una pandemia. cuando nuestra nación tiene que enfrentar tantos retos económicos nuevos. Este proyecto muestra las grandes cosas que podemos hacer uniendo fuerzas con líderes en nuestra comunidad, como el Related Urban Development Group. El condado ha trabajado antes con Related y los resultados siempre han sido impresionantes. Hace un año terminaron la primera fase de vivienda pública en Liberty Square. Aquí también los residentes se quedarán en su vecindario mientras se están renovando sus apartamentos. Esto mantiene a las personas conectadas a su comunidad. Quiero agradecer a todos los que han hecho esto posible. Gracias al secretario Carson, a la presidenta de la Comisión de Miami-Dade, Audrey Edmondson, y nuestra Junta de Comisionados del Condado de Miami-Dade. Gracias también a Jorge Pérez y Alberto Milo de Related Group y al director de Viviendas Lou y su equipo. Felicidades por un trabajo bien hecho. Gracias a todos. Que Dios los bendiga y que Dios bendiga a nuestro condado. Thank you very much. God bless you all. God continue to bless America and Miami-Dade County. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Now, our next speaker is no stranger to South Florida. Indeed, he calls it home. And he has been a great friend and supporter of all of our efforts to transform public housing communities in Miami-Dade County since the day he took office. He promised to clear the way to make Liberty Square Rising happen. He said he would make sure that we got the assistance we needed to make the game-changing rental assistance demonstration program apply to all of our public housing, and he did. And when I visited him last March, he said that he would make sure that we would get all the HUD approvals necessary so that we could close on this project before the end of the summer. And so here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, a man of honor, a man of his word, above all else, a humanitarian, Dr. Benjamin Carson, Secretary of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Mr. Secretary.
Well, thank you. Good to be back here. I'm soft-spoken, so I'm going to take this off since everybody's 6 feet away from me. First of all, thank you, Director Liu, for that introduction, and more importantly, for the incredible work. Where did he go? Oh, there he is in the corner. Okay. Incredible work that's done here. You know, I've encountered a lot of, public and community housing development directors across the country, but few of them stand out the way Director Liu does. And I'm also pleased to be with you today at this ceremony as we celebrate the groundbreaking for the 3 round towers B and C, and the, try my Spanish here, Brisas de Este, something like that, development. Now, before we begin, I really want to acknowledge a few people without whom this day would not be possible. You know, Mayor Gimenez, Carlos Gimenez is one of the most thoughtful people with a lot of wisdom, and really appreciate what you've done. It's been fun getting to know you and your very likable wife during this time. And also Chairwoman Edmondson, Audrey Edmondson, what a fantastic job. We appreciate what you've been doing, and the ability of people to work together across political lines. Chairman Perez, Jorge Perez, has just done, I saw him earlier, but what a fantastic job in demonstrating, you know, what can happen with public-private partnerships. And also Principal Milo, Albert Milo, the Related Group. Related Group has really been so instrumental, not only in this project, but in so many projects in southern Florida. And as a real example of what happens when the private sector is interested in what happens to everybody else in the area. It was all the way back in March when I first met with Mr. Liu and the Miami-Dade County Public Housing and Community Development team. And they briefed me on the work that's been done since, I visited Liberty Square in June of 2019 and previously in 2017. And it's been very gratifying to see the progress that's been made now. But in just 5 months after our meeting, here we are celebrating the largest Opportunity Zone project, perhaps in the entire country. You know, nearly $107 million development spanning 3 separate buildings, one of which will be a total new construct. And it replaces or renovates 135 deeply rent-assisted units through the RAD program, the Rental Assistance Demonstration, and adds 248 affordable and workforce housing units for a total of 383 units altogether. And it demonstrates that affordable housing does not need to look like affordable housing. It looks just like market rate housing. And I'm sure because of the public-private partnerships will be maintained like that kind of real estate normally is maintained. Today's groundbreaking ceremony is especially special because this development combines public and private sector in new and exciting ways. It's a trailblazer using investment from a qualified opportunity fund and leverages regulatory changes from public housing to Section 8 under the RAD program, which removes barriers for participation in the capital markets. It taps into the low-income housing tax credits as well as other HUD resources. And there's funding from the state of Florida, from Miami-Dade County, and from the city of Miami. And all of this showcases the incredible value of public-private partnerships, and I really do believe that it is the wave of the future. At HUD, we realize that not all the answers come from Washington, D.C. Instead, progress is made when the public and private sectors work together. And together is such an important word in the climate that we live in right now, where there's so many people who hate those who they think don't agree with them. You know, that's not what America was all about. And people think the same about everything. One of them isn't necessary. You know, its strength really comes from the fact that we're able to debate things, to communicate together, to discuss the pros and cons of different things. And it doesn't work when people get in their respective corners and just hurl insults at each other. And believe me, that happens on both sides, and it's equally despicable no matter where it comes from. Today's event also dispels the notion that investors have little interest in using Opportunity Zone programs to build affordable housing units and revitalize forgotten areas. Obviously, that's not going on here. And unfortunately, the people saying that simply don't have the facts on their side. I mean, you really need to look no further than Miami-Dade County to see the evidence that Opportunity Zones are in fact serving their intended purpose. In fact, Opportunity Zone's story has been one of success after success in areas of economic revitalization across the nation, with almost $75 billion so far being invested in Opportunity Zones. The work of the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council has focused on maximizing the impact of economic initiatives such as these through the Opportunity Zones, areas which offer tax incentive for businesses and investors, put their capital to work. And it's a win-win proposition. You know, they get significant tax breaks, and areas that have been completely neglected and would have no reason for anybody to invest in them are being invested in, and the people are being elevated. To date, I'm pleased to report that the Council has undertaken more than not 100, not 200, but 300 actions to increase investment and support to communities that exist in Opportunity Zones. And these reforms are across the 17 federal agencies and federal state partnerships, use things like new grant preference points, updated loan qualifications, reduced fees, and other types of incentives. And through this initiative, we have fostered partnerships amongst various different groups of people who frequently never sat down together. Community leaders, business leaders, faith-based leaders, builders, investors, housing advocates, state officials, federal officials, all sitting down, dialoguing, brainstorming together. That's what makes America strong. Now, as America continues to recover from the coronavirus pandemic, Revitalization Council has been refocusing a lot of energy at the request of the President on those communities that are hardest hit. And, there's been a lot of morbidity and mortalities, particularly in the African American communities, Hispanic communities. And, it's because of the comorbidities. But we're not just looking at those comorbidities, not just the hypertension and the diabetes and the asthma and the obesity and all the various things that contribute to that high morbidity and mortality, but asking the question, why do those things exist in those communities at such a high level? And tackling it on that basis. So that means we have to look at the housing conditions that are so vitally important to allowing people to be able to socially distance. We have to look at nutrition. Do people have access to healthy food in those areas? We have to look at long-term health care. We're not just talking about a weekend fair where we come in and measure everybody's blood pressure. We're talking about long-term sustained ability for people to access medical care. And perhaps the most important thing, education. Educational choice and educational quality. It doesn't matter if a person is born in the worst ghetto or the most distant rural setting. If they get a good education, they write their own ticket. And you can navigate all the barriers that exist in our society if you get a good education. We really need to start emphasizing that a lot more in this country. Not emphasizing the people that you're a victim and that somebody has caused your problem, but emphasizing how you take advantage of this amazing thing called the human brain and how you program that. And if you program that and you develop the right kind of attitude, there is no one who can keep you down in this country. It's the reason that this country is the destination for so many people. If it were such a horrible place, I guarantee you people wouldn't be trying to form caravans to get in here. It is a wonderful place of opportunity, and we need to make sure that our people understand that. And we need to do those things that allow people to take advantage of those opportunities. Earlier this year, the Council submitted its Opportunity Zone Best Practices Report to the President. And it serves as a toolkit for communities across the nation. 5 different sections, each sharing inspiring stories of revitalization that have occurred across the country. One noteworthy example from the report is right here in Miami-Dade County. In 2019, the EPA closed the $99 million loan for a project to help 2 wastewater plants comply with Florida's ocean outfall legislation, both located in opportunity zones. The Council highly recommends that state and territorial executives and legislators work together to promote their states' respective opportunity zones, and we're glad to see Florida take the lead in that category. All of this and more is highlighted in the report, and I encourage you to go to the website, www.opportunityzones.gov, and read some of the success stories for yourself. They're very impressive. You generally don't hear about them in the press because they're good things, but they're very exciting. While you're there, also on the HUD page, look at the Humans of HUD section. It has a lot of personal stories about people who've engaged in our programs, and through those engagements have become very successful, because we're interested and all of our people realizing the American dream. These successes taken together help paint a holistic picture of how we can better care for the needs of the full person so that we can help individuals who have struggled in the past to get back on their feet and onto a path of self-sufficiency. At HUD, our measure of success is not any longer how many people we can get on government assistance, but how many we can get off of government assistance and into a setting of self-sufficiency. And, you know, when I was a kid, I remember how much I hated poverty. You know, some people hate rats and roaches. I hated poverty. I couldn't stand it. That is until my mother made me start reading books. And I started reading about people of accomplishment in all kinds of areas, entrepreneurs, explorers, surgeons, scientists. And I began to recognize that the person who has the most to do with what happens to you in life is you. It's not somebody else. Believe me, when I was growing up in the 50s and 60s in Detroit, there were a lot of obstacles. But I decided, instead of concentrating on how those obstacles were holding me back, I started concentrating on how do you get around, over, through those obstacles. How do you become a problem solver? And it makes you stronger. And I got to tell you, despite what some people say, conditions in this country have improved dramatically since then. I mean, it is a different place altogether. I can tell you some hair-raising things that happened when I was a youngster. Those things don't happen anymore. So we should celebrate that. But we should also recognize that we still have a ways to go. And we have to be very vigilant, make sure that our people are successful. We need to lead people to a point where they recognize the opportunities and help them climb those ladders, because we only have 330 million people. Sounds like a lot, but it's a quarter of what China or India has. We have to compete with them in the future, which means we have to develop all of our people. There are none other people that we can afford to leave behind. And we have to be thinking about that, not fighting each other, but helping each other, encouraging each other, strengthening each other. That is what will make the difference. Earlier this summer, I was just up the road in Palm Beach County and visited a newly minted assisted housing development. And while I was there, I met the county sheriff. And we had a conversation that's hard to forget. He said how this used to be one of the highest crime areas in his jurisdiction. But ever since the new housing development, which was beautiful, was built there, the crime has plummeted. And it's now one of the safest areas in the county. And that struck me for two reasons. First, it reminded me what HUD's fundamental mission is all about, making a difference in the lives of real people. And although numbers and statistics are useful metrics, our fundamental goal is to improve the lives of real people, our fellow citizens. And this can never be summarized with just numbers. Sometimes all it takes is a little opportunity to revise a community. And really that's what the work is all about. The second thing that struck me about our conversation was the fact that his testimony supports what we at HUD have long known. That is, a stable life starts with stable housing. And a strong nation depends on strong communities. Strong communities depend on strong families, and ultimately, strong families depend on strong homes. And improving the housing situation for individuals and families results in a positive ripple effect which spreads throughout the entire community. And for this reason, today's groundbreaking ceremony should be a point of pride for every single one of us. These 383 units will provide housing stability for hundreds of individuals and families. And the fruits of this development will surely flow throughout the greater community at large. And it's all about that word that I mentioned before, together. Can you imagine what we can do if we put aside our differences and work together? Our nation is a very strong nation. It can't be brought down by China or Russia or Iran or North Korea or anybody else. It can only be brought down by us. A house divided against itself cannot stand. It's up to each one of us to utilize our spheres of influence. So thank you for inviting me to celebrate this amazing project that is going on here. At HUD, we're very proud of the efforts that are going on here. We use you as a shining example for the rest of America. Thank you, and God bless.
Truly inspiring words. Before we get to our next speaker, I want to quickly mention a few folks who are also very much part of this process, who won't be speaking but should be recognized. Mr. Royer, who's head of our local HUD office here, great partner. We have a representative of our resident council here, Martha Cardoza, is the treasurer. It really is about the people. There she is there. Thank you very much. And also, you can't do this without money, both on the debt and the equity side. So I want to give a shout out to Mr. Barry Kinski and Charlene Miller of Citibank for their unwavering support of this project. Now our next speaker is, for those of us here, is very well known. She leads our board of county commissioners, and she is first and foremost a champion of the people who live here. And she is always concerned about the conditions in which they live. And we are so happy that she has been supportive of all of these great projects. Ladies and gentlemen, Chairwoman Audrey Edmondson.
Is it morning still? Yes, it is. When you've been up since early this morning, and I'm going to take mine off as well because my glasses tend to fog up. But it's so good to see so many of you here today as we begin what will be another historic project in Miami-Dade County. The layering of financing makes this development the largest of its kind in the country to date and makes this unique to our county. We are changing the landscape of what traditional public housing looks like, and oftentimes the stigma that comes along with it. Almost 18 months ago, I stood here with you as we completed Tower A of the project, and I am even more excited about what's to come next. Renovating 50-year-old structures is no easy feat, but with this team and your patience, we are doing it with care, one building at a time. Today, we are adding another layer of affordable workforce and mixed income housing to the much-needed housing stock of Miami-Dade County, and you've heard all about what will be offered to our current and future residents. I am excited for you and for myself, as well as Mayor Gimenez. Thank you so much for what you have done and working with this commission to get things done. Secretary Carson, who has come to witness other historical projects here in Miami-Dade County. George Perez, thank you very much. El Malo, you all have been doing a wonderful job here in District 3 as well as in Miami-Dade County. But more important, I'd like to thank our residents of 3 Round Towers for remaining active and engaged throughout this collaborative process. This project was designed with you in mind. I am so proud of what we accomplished together and look forward to finally cutting the ribbon on this highly anticipated development with you. However long that would be, hopefully soon. But I will be there. I will not be in office, but I will be there when we do cut the ribbon. And again, thank you to all, and thank you again, Secretary, for all that you have also done for this county.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman Edmondson. You know, when the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit, or LIHTC program, came into being in 1986, There was a lot of criticism, and for a number of years, there was talk that it was only a tax shelter for the rich and that it was a great example of trickle-down economics. But since then, over 34 years have passed, and now the low-income housing tax credit program has proven to be the most productive program in the country associated with the producing of affordable housing. It has gone through changes, and it still may not be absolutely perfect, but by and large, it is a tool that works and has bipartisan support in Washington and across the country. I see similarities between LIHTC and the Opportunity Zone program. There are many critics of Op Zones, and the program is not perfect, but today's achievement is a real example of the exciting potential of Opportunity Zone funding when used creatively and with enlightenment and vision. And the visionary behind the use of this new financing tool here in our own community, none other than Miami-Dade County's own George Perez, founder, chairman, and CEO of the Related Group. Mr. Perez.
I'm going to be brief. Just take a little bit of my mask off here. You know, today is a day of thanks, right? I was just going to thank, but then I really listened closely to your speech, Mr. Secretary. I probably would have changed to a Republican and voted for you for president because you hit it right on the head, right? This is about working together. This is about being strong as a nation, strong as a community, strong as a neighborhood. I've always said, since I built my first affordable housing units, which was 21 units in Little Havana in 1978, that the private sector can't do it, and the public sector can't do it, and the federal government can't do it. They can't do it by themselves. It is only when those entities worked together, not only in housing, but almost in everything that we do in this country. It comes with healthcare, you know. We need the private sector with all that entrepreneurship that's made this country great, with the support and push and aid of the government. And this is the perfect positive storm, what we see here today. What we see here today is a public employee, Mr. Liu, you know, encouraged by two people that have done more for the county for affordable housing, Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Edmondson and Mayor Gimenez. Every time that we've needed them, they're there. Chairwoman Edmondson has helped us in many jobs, and the mayor, whenever there's a need for housing and community development, has always been there. And then, you know, we have HUD. With limited resources, they've used them to encourage the private sector and local communities to invest in their infrastructure. And the secretary has been incredible for us. And Denise Cleveland-Leggett, who will be coming here later, has been an incredible representative of yours, Mr. Secretary. So Albert Milo, right? I mean, the guy works 24 hours a day, dealing with all the officials and everything to put everything together to try to make this community a better community. We can't leave people behind. You just hit it on the dot. You can't leave people behind. People need to have a job. People need to have decent housing. People need to have good education in order for us to continue to be the greatest nation of the world. And I think that, in a microcosm, is what we're doing today. We have to be thankful, and we have to continue to push hard and work together to achieve the results that you're seeing here today. We as a family, the Perez family, have invested personally $36 million in these jobs here to complement the monies from the county and the federal government. So I'm very, very proud, and I'm very thankful to all the participants here. We hope that this is one of many neighborhood changing developments that we'll be doing around the country. But our home base will always be Dade County. This is where our love is. This is where our family is. So I want to thank all of you for making this possible today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Perez. Now, in order to implement a lot of these programs, RAD, LIHTC, combined on public housing, we need help not only from Washington, but also at the regional and local level. The devil is always in the details. And we're truly blessed to have someone willing to delve into those details to help us, and that comes in the visage of HUD's Region 4 Administrator, Denise Cleveland-Leggett. Despite having to worry about HUD partners and clients in 9 states and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, she always has the time to accept my calls and emails. And on top of that, she's a darn good lawyer, which is really needed to understand whatever HUD writes. Madam Administrator, Denise Cleveland-Leggett, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. That's my earring. It is an honor to be here today to represent Region 4. Region 4, of course, is the entire Southeast, as Mr. Liu said, plus Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. But there's nothing more important than the state of Florida and Miami. I am blessed to be here with Secretary Carson. It's an honor to have someone who is innovative, who came to the job and decided that status quo was not the way that we need to go. So he came in and decided that he wanted to push forward, wanted to push through the red tape and make things easier for people to accomplish their goals. So I thank Secretary Carson. He not only serves as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, but he has been tapped by the White House to head up the Opportunity and Revitalization Council as well, which oversees, as you heard him say, the opportunity zones and looking to implement programs and collaboration to enhance opportunity zones. I remember when I first learned about opportunity zones, and my brother used to run the empowerment zones for a major city. And I sat down to talk to him about it. What do you think about these opportunity zones? And after I went through the details of it, and he said, that program is a game changer. And that stuck in my mind. It is a game changer for municipalities, for housing authorities, but most importantly for the residents and the people that we serve. Individuals who have an opportunity to change their entire life and the trajectory of their life. And so I am so honored to be here for this event today. Mayor Gimenez, thank you for your continued support of our programs and for your leadership in Miami-Dade County. I also want to thank George Perez. It's amazing. I meet a lot of developers. I work with a lot of companies throughout this region, this vast region. But the related company that serves as a parent company to the Related Urban Development Group run by Albert Milo, it's an incredible organization. It's not just because they are well respected in their industry that he has done an amazing job in bringing forth incredible buildings, but most importantly, he has never forgotten the people that we serve. In all of his buildings and all of the things that he has done to better the communities, he has done it with people in mind. He could, like many developers, strictly concentrate on market rate units and developing, major buildings without looking at, the people that we serve, HUD serves. But he has, through his urban development, continually, and I've been down here for quite a few groundbreakings, but he has continually kept the people in mind and changing the lives of those individuals. And I'll never forget down in Liberty City when we went for an opening at that point, and the secretary will remember this. At that opening, there was a woman who was going into a new unit, and back then when we could still hug, she reached out and hugged me and said, "I never thought it was going to be possible. Never thought this day would come." And with pride, she walked into her unit, a unit that had been built by Related. That is what this is all about. It's not just about building buildings. It's about changing people's lives and the trajectory of people's lives. And when you see those people, when you feel and you touch the people, it makes a huge difference. I want to thank Chairwoman Audrey Edmondson. I thank her for her commitment and dedication to the people that she serves. She doesn't get caught up in caught up into doing what is right for the people that she represents. So I thank her for that. So like to take this opportunity to thank Michael Liu. I've seen a lot of leadership around housing authorities. I've seen, I can recognize good, and unfortunately I've seen bad. And fortunately, we are in the presence of greatness with regards to housing authorities. This gentleman has worked tirelessly to change people's lives, old, young, and has done it with grace, dignity, and perseverance. And so I want to thank Michael for that. One thing that I have, as a common thread among all the people that I have mentioned, the secretary, the Mayor Gimenez, Edmondson, Ms. Edmondson, Chairwoman Edmondson, George Perez, Albert Milo, and Michael Liu. One thing rings true to all and making a difference in the lives of the people that we all serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Administrator, and thank you so much for all your help every day as we move forward on these projects. Well, every good event requires and should have a closing speaker who can add color and make the past hour feel like 10 minutes. Unfortunately, I cannot assure you that our next speaker fits that bill, because actually whenever we talk, he wears me out. Actually, I'm only joking. Albert, the Related Urban Development Group, is a bundle of focused energy with the uncanny ability to hold projects together during periods of great entropy, and he does it with good humor and compassion. And compassion means a lot in this business. Mr. Albert Milo.
as a collaboration and being able to talk through issues, the good and the bad. And as I now think through, you know, the many times that we've had the blessing of being able to do this and start new projects and cut ribbons, as Commissioner Edmondson says, it never, the jitters and the excitement and the new thoughts never really go away, right? It seems like this is the first one that we're doing, but going back in our, you know, in our partnership with Miami-Dade County started as it relates to these public housing deals in November of 2011. I think, Mr. Mayor, you were just, you know, you had just started your first interim term there. So it's been a long time. It's been a very rewarding partnership for us as a company. In addition, we've done 14, 15 projects now. 6. I mean, you know, it's hard to keep track, but the most important part is that at every one of those projects, it never fails. There's always a moment that have that resident that comes up to you and says something to you that you know that project made a real difference in their life. And that's the reason why, you know, we do what we do. And it's certainly the reason why when I do get up every day, it's like that's that passion, that's the push, that's the mission, that's what we need to do, right? Because there's, you know, as Secretary Carson said, we know housing is one of the centerpieces of what is going to propel you to what you're going to be able to do in life later, along with education, along with long-term health care. But it's very difficult to get a good education. It's very difficult to have good access to health care if your housing is substandard. That's been proven. There's nothing to debate on that. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. So that's the reason why, you know, we do what we do. And as I stand here today, you know, again, we were recently preparing an RFA response to Miami-Dade County, and one of those requests is you have to put a list of your projects, and you have to talk about the things that you've completed, your completed projects. And as we went through the list, and this was about a month ago or less, you know, we looked at that list and we talked about that list, right, Tony? It's like, wow, you know, like we've done a lot. We've done a lot, but along the way there, and just recently, and I do, you know, when we went, this was right before the shutdowns in March, as Mr. Liu said. Actually, I remember after leaving your office with my suitcase, and I'm like, they're going to shut down Washington. I got to get home, you know. So I went to Secretary Carson's office with Mr. Liu. We talked about these deals and stuff, and I said, I apologize. I would normally be a little bit more dressed, but I had to bring my suitcase because from here I'm going to the airport. I'm going to get home. I'm not going to get stuck in D.C. as things were shutting down. And sure enough, a few days later, everything started shutting down. But you promised us that you would do everything. This, you know, a tremendous advocate for housing and tremendous. I mean, we've been able to, you know, do 3 or 4 events already, you know, with you as a secretary. So we thank you for coming down here, and once again, along with Ms. Cleveland Leggett, and always have that federal support. At the local level, Mayor Gimenez, again, you've stood there. You've made housing a priority, and we thank you for that, because without that leadership and that support, it doesn't happen. And Commissioner Edmondson, even longer than this partnership of 2011 when we started, we've been working since your first days there, and when you came on the commission, and again to the end. You know, I've been in this now for 20 some odd years, and I don't think Miami-Dade County has ever had a director that has the knowledge and the skill set and the leadership qualities to move deals forward. And these deals are a testament to his push, but also his team. You know, he has a great team, PHCD's team. You know, and I know that there's some new members of that team, and we look forward to continuing to work with you guys. I mean, this event today alone, putting this together in this environment, is very difficult. But I have to also just talk about our team, our related urban team, our TRG management team, our marketing team. And again, you guys do the day-to-day work and don't always get the recognition, but you know, this doesn't happen without you. I'll just give you guys one example of how, you know, we've been able to push through this. Everyone knows the financial markets are in disarray right now. It's not easy to get a bank loan. It's not easy to do a project in this environment after March. Well, our team has been able to do 10 deals since post-COVID-19. They actually closed 4 deals along with PHCD on Monday and Tuesday. That's unheard of. That's unheard of without COVID. It's certainly more unheard of during COVID. So, you know, I thank you guys, Tony. You know, you've been there from day one when we started this partnership, and it certainly can't happen without you. And my other development guys, you know, I see Leo and Guillermo and our whole team, you know, Allison and Erica putting this event together. It's a great during this environment. So again, these things don't happen without a lot of collaboration, without a lot of people. And I do agree, Secretary Carson, you know, as you say, imagine for a second how much more we can accomplish if we put our differences aside and get around the table and talk about solutions. Not talk about things that we have preconceived ideas on, but talk about things that are for the greater good. And how can we work together and figure things out? And this is a testament to that. You know, this is a testament to that. And George has done that from his beginning of his career. You know, as many of you know, he started in affordable housing, never left it. Here it is. He talked about 21 units in 1978, 79. Here we are, 2020. Not only did he not leave it, he believes in that and personally invested over $35 million to that. And you see the next generation of Perez is there, following in the footsteps too, here today. Understanding that as a company, it's important to do not just the high-end housing, but also the low-end housing, because I agree, we're only as strong as our weakest link, and we need to provide housing for everyone. So thank you for coming. Looking forward to many other events of this kind, and we definitely, I promise the chairwoman, we're going to do one more before her term is up, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. God bless you.